All right, welcome to the Thrive and Shine podcast, episode 4. This is my guest, Jenna Townsend. You want to tell them about yourself?
Yeah, so I am a personal trainer. Been training for about 5 years now. I'm looking at the list. I'm like, but I've been training for about 5 years now. Started in person, D1 training into Orange Theory. Was a head coach there for a while before I started my own thing. Started my own thing because I found women's health was not talked about enough. And most of the fitness world is for men specifically and their hormones. So I started looking into that. Took me to where I am now.
How did you find personal training? Did you have people, friends that also were personal trainers, or how did you get into actually being a personal trainer?
Good question. Yeah. So long story. I'll give you the long story. I was in volleyball. I got cut from volleyball in 7th grade. Boo. All right. But I started training by myself because I asked the coach, hey, what am I doing wrong? What can I improve? Shout out to my mom for that. But started working out, got healthier, got fitter, smaller. I hate to say that, but I did get smaller. And started training at the gym all the time. From there, I actually was supposed to go into nursing school, funny enough.
Same.
Yep, know about it. But during clinicals, figured out that it wasn't for me. I didn't want to be a babysitter, and I'm not throwing shame to any nurses out there because it actually is really hard to get into. But I figured everybody there already had a problem and it was reoccurring. So I found that all of it could be fixed with nutrition and exercise. So decided to go into personal training.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of personal trainers that just do personal training, but I know you went and got a specialization in female hormone health. Yeah. So what made you want to get further education then rather than just stay what you're doing with personal training?
Yeah, so when I was in high school, my mom went through menopause. I was like, what is menopause and why do only women go through this? So that kind of sparked my interest early on. But I would say right around the time I was the head coach at Orange Theory is when I found that I liked working with women a little bit more just because I could relate to them. I have the same hormones and all that. But I found that when I was doing continuing educations, for people who don't know what that is, it's personal training. You have to have so many continuing educations to keep your certification valid. But through that, I noticed that specifically it was for men and men's hormones. So looked into women's hormones and then kind of rolled the ball from there.
Men are easy.
Yes.
Yeah, there's not as much going on.
Yep, steady state.
Yeah, there's not much to manage. There's not constantly changing things throughout the month. You're just living, which is easy for men, but for coaching women, it's a lot of complexities.
Yes,
you can't coach a woman the same way you coach a man. It's a completely different ball game. There's
5 different hormones for women, which is nuts to think about and to try to balance where's what's high, what's low, but that's what I love.
Yeah, I know a lot of women, I think they, not to speak for them, but they think that their period symptoms are normal.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's just across the board this is normal to be pain or normal to be nauseous or whatever it is. So what's your experience with coaching women on understanding their symptoms? Yeah,
so with periods, you should not feel symptoms at all. And if you are, that's just a sign of nutrient deficiency. So through my certification, I'm able to know, for example, if you have high estrogen, take B vitamins. You're probably deficient in one of the B vitamins. So I recommend that a lot to a lot of people. And then hydration, there's fiber, magnesium, it all goes hand in hand. And cravings, if you're craving chocolates, odds are you probably just need more carbs in your diet. And most of those symptoms arise one time out of the month. So it does take a while to balance those hormones. But knowing what symptoms you have definitely helps to recommend nutrients.
Yeah. Is it chocolate specifically? Is it sugar or?
More chocolate. Sugar is definitely a different aspect. If you're craving more of sugar, I would say probably balance your blood sugar. Obviously.
Do you know what about chocolate it is?
Not in depth. No. I'm it's just something about it. In that certification, they didn't really go over that too much. They just say, hey, if you're craving this, here's this. I'm okay, great. No, tell me more.
Is there another furthering education you want to do?
Yeah, so I've gotten into yoga, about to finish that, but within that, prenatal yoga and like pregnancy and all that kind of stuff. I just feel like pregnant women think they need to stop training in general when there's definitely different aspects.
And just rest.
Exactly. So I think it helps.
You think most women should be training, weight training?
Oh, yeah. And
even if you're pregnant?
This is a big misunderstanding within like cycle syncing is that, oh, during your period you need to rest. You don't need to like strength train. Or during your ovulation, you're obviously you're stronger, you set PRs. So people only want to strength train during that specific part of their cycle, when in reality, train anytime you want. Go harder when you're in your ovulation. In your menstrual cycle, it may need to be a deload week, but you should still be training. So that's a big misconception. I don't agree with the misconception, but I do think it's interesting, different point of views.
If you had like a woman that like only wants to do yoga and she's expecting to, you know, get stronger, be healthier, even though you can be healthy while you're doing yoga, is there a way that you try to like encourage weight training? Yeah. Trying to like weed it into the program, or how would you go about that?
Yeah, so I'm very fortunate. Most people nowadays have opened their eyes up to strength training. So I have a lot of people circling back from like, a lot of my clients are 40s, 50s or above. And a lot of people circle back and they're like, oh, well, I really want to tone my arms. I'm like, well, we can't spot reduce. We can build your muscle there and we can focus on your nutrition. But strength training in general, as people are coming back to it from like the negative beliefs of like women shouldn't train. Yeah,
I feel like such a like common stereotype is like women don't want to pick up weights because they're afraid they're going to get jacked. Like they're just magically going to add...
Our hormones are not with us on
they're just like magically going to add 30 pounds of muscle in a week. And they're like, oh, I don't want to get jacked.
No, if they did that, I would pay to see that. I really would.
Well, I'm like fighting for my life to add like 5 pounds of muscle in a year. It's like, you're not going to just blow up like a beast.
Not to mention like the times we see testosterone is like really in ovulation. A little bit before, but leading up to ovulation, and then it comes down. Like, you're not going to see the same muscle progression as men, just point blank.
Yeah. Do you think, even though you coach people, you think there's something that you still work on yourself?
Oh, absolutely. I'm always learning new information. And this is part of the reason, like I told you before, that I'm scared of taking videos, because once you say something and you post it, it's out there and you like...
There's no going back.
There's no going back. But that's why we have continuing educations for personal trainers. Yeah. It's because it's always evolving. There's always going to be new information. Like years ago, women shouldn't strength train because they'll look jacked. Well, now people are coming to find out like strength training is so good for you, beneficial even more for women than like
especially improving mortality.
Exactly.
Like I think the mortality difference is like 30% different for people that train for people that train legs specifically. Yeah. Like throughout their lifetime, they train legs. Yeah. Because their independence is much higher because they can walk around, they can be independent, they don't have to be in a wheelchair or like be sedentary. So usually their mortality is much lower than people that don't train legs.
And with that, I do find, now this is a fun fact, people hate having thick thighs, and I even said this in my seminar. Thick thighs do save lives because they have estrogen, or a type of estrogen is estrone, so it actually helps you when you're postmenopausal. But not only that, it helps your bone density, so it's like a win-win.
Yeah. I know you briefly mentioned cycle syncing. Do you want to elaborate a little further on what that is?
Yeah, so cycle syncing is pretty much taking the phases of your cycle and kind of tracking based off of what you feel, your hormones, your symptoms, mood, all of that. Splits it up into 4 different phases, and all over the place. People say 2 different phases. They're just grouping phases. So there's 4 phases. We have your bleed phase, follicular phase, ovulatory phase, luteal phase. Luteal and menstrual is where you'll see most of your symptoms. So that's where I would say write down the most of what you feel. But people will notice like, oh, it's weird because I only have these symptoms during this time of my period. Write it down. Write it down, figure it out. You'll start to notice patterns, and then you'll be able to fix those patterns a lot easier than if you were just guessing.
Would you like journal daily? Would you journal like over like your average week? You do like daily?
I would do daily. The more you write down, the less you forget. So if I write down daily, like day to day, my symptoms may be different, completely different. Like I can tell you earlier this week, I started my period, so I was like moody as heck. I didn't want to say the H word, but moody as heck. I was irritable very frequently, and I was able to change that throughout a matter of a couple hours because I noticed it.
Yeah.
It's crazy what, like, how you feel and then realizing it and processing it and finding things to help. So, like, yoga. I told you I had an interest in yoga, so I started that certification. Well, I only found that certification because I was like, oh, well, what can help with my mood? Yoga. So figure it out, find some things to help out, and then you'll be golden.
Yeah, I always try to find different outlets for, like, you know, understanding my emotions. I do jujitsu. You know, it's a good way to release stress or anything like that. Getting choked out by a 130 pound Indian guy. It's, you know, 5'5", whatever it is. Like I've been doing like meditation, like different breathing things. But I think definitely going back to the journaling thing is like if you can understand or recognize the emotion you're having, you're much more aware of it. Absolutely. Like when I was on prep, I remember I needed like 20 more grams of rice, and I had, you know, like let's say I needed 100 and I had 80 left that already pre-made, and now I had to make 20 grams of rice, which to me was the end of the world. I was talking to my fiance, and I was like, I can't believe this. I have to wait 10 minutes. I have to cook this rice just for 20 grams. And I was like freaking out because I'm deep into prep at this point. I'm like losing my mind. It's like the whole world was coming to an end. Like freaking 20 grams. Are you kidding me? And she's like, you're fine.
Yeah.
Like you had to make it regardless because you're already running out of rice. And she's like, you're going to be fine. And I was like,
just breathe. It's where you take a step back and like, I like to say, take a step back and look in on your life rather than being like stuck in this little bubble and being like,
tunnel vision. Gosh,
my world is crumbling because these 20 grams of rice, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
But like, it's fine.
Yeah. And after that moment, I was like, when I had a moment like that, I was like, okay, like I'm fine. Like I was much more aware of it after she pointed it out. Before then, I wasn't as aware of it. And I was like, this is like my normal emotions. Like I didn't realize, you know, it wasn't normal, and it was like the new norm for me. But then she's like, you're on prep, you're deep into prep, like you're fine. And then after that, I was like, okay, maybe I'm fine. Maybe you're right, as always.
Oh yeah, and I think it's important to have a support system like that because when I was going through, and now this is off topic, but I am a big believer in coaches need coaches.
I was gonna say that
Jordan here helps me out. He wrote a meal plan. I did follow it for the most part, but sometimes I'm like, I hate this. I hate this so much. This stupid apple cider vinegar shot. I'm like, no, but I was just talking to my boyfriend about it. I'm like, this sucks. He's like, get over it. What do you want? Like, you've got to make a change if you want something, right? So support system, definitely someone outside looking in will definitely help with pretty much anything. But if you don't have that, it's important to write it down. That way you can be the person outside looking in.
Yeah, I think coaches definitely need coaches. Doesn't matter what level you are. Even like a doctor needs a doctor to look at them. Like you can't diagnose yourself even if you're a doctor. I mean, you could have a good idea of what's going to happen. Right. But doctors still go see doctors, which just kind of validates this point. But having a second set of eyes, I think, is so crucial. Because, for example, when I was on prep, like when I was at my peak bulk, all nice and fluffy, I was like, in my eyes, I was like, I'm kind of lean, I'm shredded. And then when I was like at the end of prep and I was, 6% body fat, shredded, I was like, I look so fat right now. And it was like just, complete opposite. So it's so hard to see yourself as you actually are. Having someone that sees you consistently and also having someone that doesn't see you that often. Yes. They're two different perspectives, because like someone that sees you a lot, they might notice small changes, but they might not notice them as much as someone that sees you like every couple weeks, every month, whatever. They're gonna see these changes way more. Obviously, this is in regards to like really short-term fat loss, that's dramatic changes. But even if you're related to cycle syncing and you have someone in your as a significant other, family member, friend, and you start understanding your emotions more, and they notice like, oh, you're, maybe you're controlling your emotions a little more than you were the previous month or the month before that. Yeah. And they recognize that you're more aware and you're more in self-control than you previously were. which I think just journaling in general, whether it's about your period, whether it's about how you look, how you feel, I think journaling in general is going to be great just for recognizing your own self.
Absolutely.
Because you can go and look back what you wrote and you're like, oh, okay, maybe I was getting a little deep this week, and then last week, I've made progress. So I think journaling is a huge...
Absolutely. Fun fact, and I didn't tell you this, but I'm coming up with like a planner. So like a single psyching planner, but like obviously I don't like to single psych my workout. Like I said before, it's a huge misconception.
You train when you train.
You train when you train. Otherwise, you're not going to see any results if you do everything all over the place. But coming out with a planner, ideally to write down and keep track of, like, if you're in your ovulatory phase, you're going to want to hang out with friends more and be social. It's just part of what the hormones provide. But maybe in your menstrual phase, you're relaxing, you're reflecting on the month, like things like that, just to guide people who don't know how to journal. And they're like, well, journaling, great, but what the heck do I write down?
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see that this year. I'm still working on it, but it goes into it.
Yeah, how do you approach what to write down? Because I guarantee there's two different people. Someone that writes down everything and someone that writes down like one or two words.
Yeah.
Like you might have someone that writes like covers the entire page.
Yeah.
And like does a whole essay on how they felt that day and just rants. You might have someone that just says, felt good.
Felt good.
So
there's two different type of people who write things, people who like to use their phones for things. There's an app in your phone, it's just the journal app, where you can like record voice memo things if you need to, talk it out loud, pretend you're on the phone with someone. Like there's always different things you can do that appeal to different people. If you want to vlog it, take your phone out and vlog it for all, like it's based off of what you want and what you like.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
A voice message might be nice because you could hear how your voice is, like how your intonation is. You're like, oh, I was a little on edge that day. Yeah,
like you're on the verge of crying. Please help. No, like you'll see the emotion and you'll like, I don't know. It's based off of what you like, what you're able to consistently do.
Yeah. What do you think is something in the fitness industry, whether it's towards women or men, that you think is commonly misleading?
I think when people first start getting into their fitness journey, like fresh, haven't worked out a day in their life, day one, they look on the internet, they start searching things, and then all of a sudden bodybuilders, bikini models, like they all pop up, and you're like, how do I look like that? I'm like, they've probably been working on their physique for years.
Yeah, a decade.
You're not going to get that right away.
A lot of them are enhanced.
Exactly.
Also, I think people don't like always recognize this, is that what you're seeing on Instagram is the 1% of the 1% of the 1%.
Exactly.
Like there's a reason why they're on your page. It's because they look the best. If you saw a feed of just the average person, you'd be like, I'm not too bad. Like, I'm doing okay. Yeah. But if you're always comparing yourself to like the top 0.1%,
exactly, it's
going to get in your head. And you're like, I'm never going to look like this. You're probably not. Honestly, like to be realistic, you might never look like that. They've been doing this much longer than you. There's a good chance they might be on steroids. The education they have might be a lot higher. And, genetics are a massive factor as well. Yeah. So I think having realistic standards, finding a body that like, maybe this is achievable. And if you do achieve that, then set another bar above that after you reach that goal, whatever it is. But at the same time, you shouldn't always compare yourself to others. You should just, take it day by day.
Right.
Am I better than last week? Great. I'm on track to be better than the next week.
So to that point, I will say I was working with a female athlete, and she was like, I'm seeing all these people. I have this lower body or lower stomach fat. Often people call it their pooch, but it's over your organs, your female reproductive organs. What she didn't understand, what a lot of people don't understand and don't think about, is a lot of people who are that small, like for prep, as an example, some women lose their cycle. That's not normal. That's not healthy. Some people do lose their cycle. I'm not saying every single person loses their cycle.
It's not uncommon.
It is common. And that's what most people don't understand, don't realize it's not healthy. Like, the dreams they're chasing aren't I don't want to say unrealistic, because some people it is like they do have low body fat naturally, but it's just something to think about. Like, not every goal, this is so Debbie Downer, but not every goal is achievable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like it'd be like unrealistic for me to have the goal to have a baby. Obviously,
Exactly.
I can't. It's not realistic for me to be pro for bodybuilding, especially if I don't want to be on steroids. That's just an unrealistic goal. You know, there's maybe one person ever to be completely natural and to go pro. There's ways you can go pro naturally, but to get to like the IFBB and be pro natural, that's an even smaller percentage. It's
Exactly.
0.001% of that people is going to happen.
I will say, like, body fat percentage, the lowest you ever want to be for a woman, they say is 18. I've seen 15 be fine. But for women, we do naturally need more fat because it does help with our hormone cycle.
Yeah, naturally being healthy for men, 15% is pretty good. Like 12 to 15% is really healthy.
Yeah, men
body
have
weight.
a lower body fat percentage that they're able to hold on to.
It's like 8% different between men and women. What I was going to say earlier is that when men go through, like same way that women, they might lose their period after a show. When men go through a show, usually their testosterone is tanked, like completely.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It might go from, let's say, 500 nanograms to 700 nanograms. It might drop down to like 50 to 100, whatever it is, which would be technically like hypogonadal, which is awful. Takes, months to get back. You have to, meticulously add fat back in your diet and cholesterol. And it's a long process. And you might have, like ED is a common symptom for men that go through in the prep because their testosterone's so low. Estrogen's not great either. And to replenish that, get to come back up naturally, it's going to take a long time. Unless you want to take a steroid, it's going to take a while to come back up. If you want to do like enclomiphene, testosterone, whatever it is, it's going to be a while until it comes back up. To the women out there that feel exhausted all the time, what do you want them to know?
Are they exhausted like 24/7 or in their period?
Always feel fatigued, low energy, struggling to, I don't want to say have motivation, but like they always feel like, I don't want to say groggy, but like trying to get through the day constantly.
Yeah. So a big part of that, and I would say probably, this might be off speaking, but the hugest majority is nutrition. If you're feeling awful, odds are you need to fix something in your nutrition. It is such an important factor, and there's a reason people say it's 80% diet, 20% working out, or however they say it is. But foods, especially the B vitamins, and that's what most people are deficient in, women are deficient in, they provide energy. And if you don't have that energy, odds are you probably need to increase magnesium. Like, there are things that help.
Do you think education is the problem, or do you think it's like the drive? Because Dr. Mike Israel had a great representation of this, but this is more so regarding why people are overweight. So in 4 categories, I'll just explain the 2 extremes. If you have a low food drive and a low conscious level, odds are you're not going to be that overweight. Or if you have a high conscious level and a low food drive, most likely not going to be overweight. You're highly conscious and you don't want to eat food. Like, you're not constantly like, oh, I need to eat something, even if you're not hungry. On the other end, you'd be high food drive and low conscious level. This is like, you need the feeds, like you can finish an entire bag of chips whether you're hungry or not, like mindless eating, the drive to go eat this, and then just low conscious level. Like, the best way to explain this is you can go to any overweight person with a cookie and an apple. If you say, which one's healthier, they're going to tell you the apple. So to argue that education is the issue regarding this specifically situation, I think it's not a great argument, because you can ask anybody, what's the healthier option? They can tell you what's healthier, but the food drive to eat the cookie is much higher than to eat the apple. So a lot of people, they argue like, oh, I don't know how to eat healthy. I can't find a way to, work healthy foods into my diet. I can't find a way to like make healthy foods enjoyable. Whatever the situation is, you can't use education as an argument to say, okay, I don't know how to eat healthy, it's too hard. Right. Especially with the internet, with ChatGPT, with YouTube. You can type in healthy meals. You can get them from a dietitian. You can get them from whatever source you want. And you can have great healthy meals that, fit whatever macros you need. You can go into a TDEE and you can find out what your calories are you need to either gain weight, to lose weight, and it will tell you based on your basal metabolic rate, this is the calories you need to eat to either lose weight, to have, you can pick your rate of loss. If you want to use 2 pounds a week, you can put in your calories, you can put in like your exercise level, and it'll tell you this is what you need to eat, how many calories, the macros, whatever you want. This is how you're going to lose weight. And all you can do is you can go on Pinterest, you can go on TikTok, Instagram, you can trendy healthy meals for my morning, whatever it is, and you can find great options. So when people argue, I don't know how to eat healthy, I think it's a really lame excuse, because internet, YouTube, ChatGPT, whatever it is, finding a coach, finding a dietitian, whatever it is, there's so many sources to find out how to eat healthy, and you can't deny like, oh, the cookie might be healthier than the apple. What if it's gluten-free or whatever? Like, what? No.
Odds are there's sugar alcohols or sugar or something in there that just isn't right. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I do think everybody has the basic education. We all go through it in elementary school, whether you believe it or not. Like, come on. But you remember some parts of that. People may not know what macros are. I've had a couple people ask me that, which is kind of interesting. Like, how did you get this far in life? Without knowing. But I do think it is a drive thing, not motivation, because nobody's ever going to have motivation 24/7. There's always going to be dips, but it's just consciously knowing, like, do I want my goal? If I want my goal, am I doing everything in my possible, like,
how bad do you want it?
Exactly. How bad do you want it? And it's, I don't know. It kind of goes back to, like, if you want it bad enough, you'll look it up. You'll find ways. And if you don't, you're going to be stuck paying a coach like your whole life. And you're going to be like, oh, well, why isn't it working? And the coach is like, well, are you doing this? Are you doing this? And then you're not doing it, but you tell them you're doing it. Exactly. And then I have, like, for example, I'm working with someone right now who said, I didn't know I could feel this way. Like, I've been eating, she literally got part of her stomach taken out because of, there was something going on, but she got part of her stomach taken out. Stomach is smaller. She's like, I eat under 1,000 calories. I'm like, how are you living? Like, how are you living? So we increased her calories. She only gained like 1 or 2 pounds. Her goal is to lose weight, but those 1 and 2 pounds was a day, and then it went back down to normal. And she's like, I feel great. This is the most energy I've ever had. I'm like, and her calories still aren't up to normal because she can't intake the normal intake. Like, her stomach is missing. It just goes to show, like, you just need to be told and have someone rooting for you. And that goes back to, like, the support system.
Yeah, having someone in your corner say, like, you got this, you're on the right track. And
for most people, that is their coaches. That's why I like to have, like, 24/7 access. Like, text me if you want. I don't care. You're not interrupting me.
There are a lot of bad coaches, which is like, so to hear this advice, like, oh, get a coach or get a dietitian, whatever it is, there are bad ones out there.
Absolutely.
And it's like how you discern between, oh, this one's a good one, this one's a bad one. It's difficult. Look at qualifications, obviously.
Most of the time you can tell by their attitude of things. So if they ask questions and they're like, how can I help you get to your goal? What do you need from me? Like, productive questions that the coach is asking, I think that's a huge factor. I've met a coach that says, yeah, here are my rates. Great, but, like, what are you going to do to help me? Like, tell me. Give me a plan. Like, maybe not the exact meal plan, but, like, what can you do to help my emotions? What if I'm not feeling, like, what if I cancel a session? Like, what is that going to do to me?
Yeah, I had someone DM me about being interested in being coached, and they're like asking how I do things, and he said, well, because the last time I messaged one of those like trendy coaches, whatever, on Instagram, and he said if I don't follow it his way, that I need to kill myself. And I was like,
you're joking.
I swear. I was
that's
like,
awful.
I was like, that's terrible. I was like, jeez.
Like, I worked with an influencer once because again, coaches need coaches. And all I was getting from this influencer was, like, voice messages. Like, hey, girl, every week. Hey, girl. I'm like, you do not, I'm all for a hey, girl. But not every week. It gets repetitive. Like, she's saying, like, your steps aren't
every coach,
exactly. Every client. It's not a phone call. It's not face-to-face. There's no emotion behind it. It's all money for her. And like, yes, the program was great. I'm a coach, so I know how to do things, but there was no questions about video on form. There was no like reviewing my food. Like, she just looked at my macros. If they weren't hitting, she's like, yeah, you need to get more protein this week. I'm like, I could have told you that. Any person on the street could have told you, hey, if I'm supposed to hit 120 grams and I hit 100, I need to get more protein. Like, some people think that they can train themselves based off of influencers, which I think if you have, like, some people just have the mindset to pick it back up, and some people don't. Like, they take it at face value instead of, like, taking the meaning behind it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. We were saying about, like, being, having a coach where, like, it's just either a text message or a voice message and it's not face-to-face or anything like that. I think a huge aspect is, like, the mental side of coaching because... Absolutely. For example, if you're not monitoring like stress and fatigue and mental fatigue, all of those metrics, you could be gaining weight just from stress.
Exactly.
If you have high cortisol for a long time, you're more prone to water retention. So a coach might see you gaining weight just due to stress, which if you were to, you know, modify how the stress is being managed or whatever means you need to do, they could be losing weight just on modifying how stressed they are and how their relationship to stress is, versus they're off like in a non like in contact coach that's just doing text or voice messages, that's not checking in with you like how you are. They're gonna think, oh, they're gaining weight, I need a low calories or add cardio. And then an even bigger deficit when you could have stayed the same calories, keep higher food, not need to increase cardio. And all you need to do is just manage your stress and you could be losing weight.
I will say on the flip side of that, oftentimes too many coaches will just automatically go to cortisol. Say your cortisol is high, you need to do this. I'm like, you've got to do your checks and balances, if that makes sense. Like if they're not eating the meal plan how they should be, and you're saying, oh, well, you're being lied to, first off, if they say they're doing it right and they're not. You're like, oh, it's cortisol. They're like, no, I'm doing everything fine. I'm not stressed, I promise. And in their mind, they know it's the nutrition. But the coach is then saying this. It's like, it goes hand in hand. Like, there are some people that just don't know what they're doing.
I think it also depends on what's trendy on Instagram or social media. Because there's been phases like, you know, like I said, oh, high cortisol is this, and it's like the trendy thing to fix. And then a coach will try fixing this. And then there's like SIBO, like gut disorders. And then the coach is like, oh, this is the problem. Exactly. Even though it's probably not the problem, or maybe it is, but they try to find this zebra rather than the horse.
Yep.
And I think, you know, more often than not, it's just, you know, a simple answer. Do the basics. You know, maybe if there's a certain special case, send them to a doctor, send them to a dietitian, whatever you need.
Yep.
But more often than not, like, manage the simple things. If you think it's an extreme case, you know, send it to a professional, and they're gonna do what they do. That's why they're professionals. So I think coaches that like always focus on like these trendy things or things that are like always coming up trendy on Instagram or whatever social media, and they're trying to like find this magic thing that's going on, like, oh, I found the cure to you, it's because you have this bad microbiome, which might be true, but like, how are they testing this?
How are they fixing it?
They're just assuming that your gut microbiome is crap.
Yeah.
They're going to put you through some magic detox that they don't even know what a detox is.
Exactly.
And just like a endless circle of like keeping clients because they're leading them on to the next problem they have, which I think is the best way to circle back to this is that like the client, maybe they're almost done with the coach. And then the coach is like, oh, you have this problem. We need to address this problem. Before you go, we'll address this problem. And then, you know, I'll let you like, you do your thing, but I want to make sure we take care of this first. And then they fix that. And then there's another problem. And then there's another problem. And then just like keep on like leaning on this client to like never let them go, which...
And I think that's a good way of telling if you have a good coach or if it's not a great fit for you, is if they want to set you up for success to take it on your own, odds are they're probably a good coach. They want you to learn. They want you to take care of your life. But if they're wanting to just keep you forever and ever, I like to say, like, with training, it isn't a guaranteed income, if that makes sense. Like, people who go into training do it because they love it. Or they do it because they know they can trap people.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like, that's a good way of putting it. I feel like 4 months is a good time period.
Yes.
Like whether it's whatever your goals are, weight loss, 4 months, and by the end of it, they should be able to coach themselves. Maybe they have a couple more questions you can address in like your last call or whatever, like just want to make sure I'm doing this right. Or I always tell clients, like, if you ever need help, just reach out to me. Like, it won't be like as detailed as normal, but like I'll still give you help and let you know, make sure you're on the right track to do things on your own.
Right.
I think 4 months is a great period, unless you have like a specific goal, like you're doing this and you want like to go through a benching program, you want to go through like a squat program or a strength program, and you need them specifically to coach them for a specific thing, not like you're just like leading them on to this never-ending.
Like for you, if they are in prep and they're trying to like Cameron, for example, you train him. He can train himself, but you train him. Coaches need coaches, and so you're taking him through building muscle, then prep season and all that, like
prep, and then like a recomp, and it's gonna be like a total of 9 months. We're doing like 3 months off season. It'd be like 16 weeks of prep, so it's another 4 months, and then like 2 months recomp, or maybe 3 months recomp. And it's like a full thing. The off season is obviously kind of more offhands. It's like more like, kind of follow this outline, follow this thing. We'll make sure like form is good, training's good, you're feeling good going into starting prep. Prep is gonna be more detailed, and then off season or the recomp is, reverse diets, still pretty on hands like the prep is.
And I have a question for you.
I have an answer.
Unorthodox, I know. I have someone who I used to train, and instead of the coaches being in with the fad diets and looking online, she was looking online. She's like, I think it's this and this and this, and I'm taking this supplement and this supplement and this supplement, and it's not helping. I'm like, well, first off, chill on the supplements. You don't know what they are. Stop it. Like,
tell me what each of them are doing, and then
we'll talk about it. Like, where did you get this information? Oh, well, on Instagram. No. First off, no. Look it up. Like, ChatGPT is a wonderful tool. I will say, leading off into that,
Google Scholar, EBSCOhost, if you're looking at like actual research.
Yes, but I will say sometimes ChatGPT doesn't get it right. I've had a picture post, and I'm like, what car is this? Obviously not a Dodge Charger, but it says, oh, it's a Dodge Charger 2013. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not even a Dodge. Like, what? Or like with landscaping. I've seen people do landscaping with picture. They send a picture of their yard. They're like, what is this? And it edits a dog into a statue or something. Like, it doesn't always get it right. It doesn't take, it does take a lot into account. It is AI, but some things they don't get right. But like, do your research and look it up.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just don't have the mindset or maybe the time to look it up. And that's where I think the coach comes in handy.
Yeah, I think just supplements, just basics. Take some collagen, take some creatine, see if you need vitamin D. Usually if it's the winter, most people need vitamin D.
Yeah.
Summer, ideally you're outside.
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
And for like, if they're like, oh, I want this fad diet and this fad diet, I think it's more so like, what foods do you like? You can work it in like that. You can have foods you enjoy and lose weight. You don't have to have like only chicken breast and rice and eggs your whole life. Like you can have great enjoyable meals that aren't like painful to get through, which I did that during prep, which is just my own fault. I'm the only person to blame for that. I had unseasoned chicken and rice for like a while, which is completely my fault, and I had a cold sometimes, which is all of me. If I was like out somewhere, I'll just keep it cold and eat it.
But honestly, sometimes people even need that. They're like, I want to eat the same thing every day. I don't want to think about it. I just want to do it. I know it works, so why change it?
Yeah.
It's based on person to person.
Yeah. But I think the biggest thing is just like finding meals you enjoy. You don't need like the best diet. I've said this before. The best diet is the one that works for you. Sure. Keto, I think it's, very case dependent. I don't think it's necessary. If you want to do Mediterranean, which has been shown to be like the most effective. If you like fish, eat fish. If you like meat, eat meat.
Right.
Vegetables are pretty good for you. Fruit's pretty good for you. And it's not like rocket science, in my opinion, but
I think it's funny the people that chase diet after diet and they're like, nothing's working. Well, how long have you stuck with these diets?
Like a new diet comes out and you're like, oh, I gotta try that diet.
Exactly.
It's
like you've got to wait and make, like, if after, and this is like even a short period of time, 1 month, if you're like consistently gaining weight within the month, like maybe see about changing a few things. But if you go and change your whole diet, you don't know what caused your weight gain.
I feel like some people, it's like they're waiting for like the new pair of shoes to drop.
Yeah.
Like, I can't wait for the next fad diet to drop and try it out. Like, it's going to be great.
I feel like that's life nowadays.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Like, you don't just sit back and relax and enjoy what you have. People always need the next.
Yeah. Like, get good at what you have now, and you're going to make progress.
I'm not going to lie. I've fallen, like, I definitely need the newest and greatest, like, phone, or, like, we just got a camera for content. Hand me down, but it's still a nice camera. Like, do we need to get that? Probably not.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
It's all perceived value.
Exactly. It's all what you want, I guess.
Yeah. On that note, I think we're going to wrap it up. You want to tell them where to find you?
Yeah, oh my gosh, where can't you find me? I'm like, shoot. Got Instagram, Honeyglow Health, and it's Honey, Honei. So Honeyglow Health. Facebook, same thing. YouTube, Jenna Town.
Yeah, I'll have
Jenna
links.
Townsend.
I'll have links down below.
Good. I will say I'm trying to get better, and he's pushing me to get better at social media. So see more soon. Ooh.
Yep. On that note, thanks for watching, guys.